Hey everyone!
Hello.
We're back again and we're going to talk about a book and a film that we're just so excited to have this discussion about because we've been waiting so long to talk about this. This is so exciting. And we're going to be talking about Stephen King's It. Now, as you know, I read it last year. I think it was August because it came out in September.
Right, okay.
Yeah, the film came out because I wanted to read it before the film came out. That was it. And you were reading it in December when last time we were together.
Yeah.
I think you were about 200 pages or something in,
like
weren't
that,
you? Yeah. So Laura has now finished reading
I have.
it.
I have read it.
And I'm going to be talking about the book in depth and also the recent film and probably the 90s one as well.
Yeah, so spoilers.
Yeah, so this is major spoilers.
Huge spoilers.
Huge spoilers.
For anybody, I would say, anybody who has not read it and doesn't mind spoilers, what I would say, and I do this because I have a friend who wanted to read it and I warned her about the same. If you have any sensitivity or triggering triggers even for abuse of any kind,
yes,
I would really
on several different levels in this.
I would really counsel thinking again.
Yeah,
because I mean, my friend had been through some stuff in her own life, and I felt a responsibility to say to her
that you might want to take a step back from this
because I'm not sure if this book is necessarily appropriate.
Yes.
So if that is something that you yourself are not able to deal with for whatever reason, then please just know that we're going to be talking about things like that, because that is, I think in this instance,
because of what this book was a bit like keys when I read it.
It's virtually on every page.
Yeah, and of course you kind of come across some aspects of that in like various films or TV shows or other books, but this Stephen took you to the deepest, darkest blackness of it possible. Multiple occasions on multiple levels. So thus we want to flag up a warning.
So anybody that feels triggered by mentions of abuse in whatever possible way one person can abuse another, then I really think that you would need to perhaps take a step back, because it is...
And we want to make sure that you guys are comfortable watching this.
Because
we don't want to upset you. So in this discussion. So
if you need to go, then... Thank you
very much. But anyway, we're going to be talking in depth about the book, the 90s series, and the recent film, because Laura, what I had experienced was that I'd seen the 90s version before, but it was so many years ago. I couldn't really remember it, apart from weird things that stood out because they were so insanely stupid. And the so insanely stupid, when I say that, is... It was very 90s, like someone screaming and the camera tilts and zooms into their mouths. It's really very of its time stuff, which makes scary turn completely laughable.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of things that I remembered. Yeah. But I read the book, I rewatched it, and wasn't too fond of it. And then the genius version of the film came out, and it was like, thank you.
I think that film is as good an adaptation as you're going to get of the first half of
Laura
that book.
Read the book, you then watched the 90s and then watched the film. So you kind of did the same order as me, except I'd already had an experience of the 90s one.
I had never seen the 90s film. I remember, like, growing up with our dad, like, it is the big copy of it that he's got.
That's the version that he lent me. So I was very much like, don't do any kind of dent in any of the pages. Keep it pristine. Don't.
I remember asking my dad, what is it? What does it mean? And I remember him saying, it is fear.
Yeah.
And it was never a book that I particularly wanted to read of Stephen King, because thinking back on the books of Stephen King that I had read, they're quite short.
Yeah.
Gerald's Game, Misery,
The Four Season Collection.
And I've read Four Past Midnight.
Yeah,
as well. They're not huge books.
I'd
really.
only read The Four Seasons.
Right.
And Dad tried to convince me to read, what's it? The Shining.
Yeah.
Right after I saw the film. And when I watched the Shining film, I was alone. It was winter. I was in our house and I had the lights on. I was terrified. And as soon as the credits roll, the phone rings and it's Dad and he's wanting me to go upstairs to get something. I'm like, Dad, I can't leave this room. I was like, for God's sake, don't be a baby.
The Shining makes me feel sick because the camera.
It's so clever. But Dad was like,
can't do it.
And as soon as he got home and everything, I calmed down. He's like, so you're going to read the book? And I was like, hell no, I'm not touching that.
The book of it never really interested me.
No.
And I'm so glad I didn't read it as a teenager.
I then saw, because I was at Mum and Dad's house, that was it, for Sunday lunch or something, or at dinner after work one day, when the teaser trailer hit. And the teaser trailer for the recent It film was so interesting because it wasn't a standard teaser trailer, because it was 2.5 minute full trailer. And people were really freaked out by this. So like, if this is a teaser, what the heck are we going to get for the full trailer? I prefer the teaser to the full trailer. I think the full trailer is a bit naff in comparison. But anyway, that's my own personal opinion. And I was like, that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And Dad just went, my copy's upstairs, borrow it.
Yeah.
Take it with you tonight.
I'm so glad I was an adult when I read it.
God, I wouldn't have been able to handle that as a kid. I don't. Or not as a kid, should I say, as a teenager, because of what is... I found it difficult as an adult to read certain passages.
Yeah, I did too. And particularly as a parent as well. I was Jesus. But what happened for me was I bought it on Halloween because
you did, didn't you?
Yeah. Because we had tie-in copies because of the film being out for ages and ages. And I knew that it was going to fall out of the charts. And it was only $3.99, and it's an 1,100-page book.
that's a lot for the money.
Yeah, for $3.99, I thought, okay, I'll buy it.
Yeah,
and it got to. It got to December, and I thought, and I can't.
You had your chick lit stuff, and you were getting really.
I was getting so pissed off with that because I felt like the stories were all the same, with different names, and it was annoying me. And I'd picked up Full Dark No Stars.
Oh yes, you did.
And I'd read that collection, and I'd loved that.
Yeah,
because it's like I said, it was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to tackle it. And I was so
excited. I was just like,
I started on the 5th of December and I finished it on the 30th of January, exactly 8 weeks later.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I am so happy I was an adult when I read it. And I think, apart from one element, it is nearly perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's as close to perfect as you're going to get.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that we will talk about later is that. And I cannot think of any possible reason for that, if I'm honest. But we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. I as you know, I read the book. I really enjoyed it, and I still really enjoy it. But there was one aspect of the ending that I didn't like, and that put a downer on it for me. But we had a conversation with Sarah about it, which we'll talk about when we get to that point. I think. And that was really interesting because it did make me think of another reason as to why he made that choice for that thing to happen. But I was like, if you've put those kids through that amount of shit, you do that, that was a kick in the teeth for me. Yeah, for me personally. But it's what it was.
But I think there are different reasons for it.
Exactly. Well, yes, and having that conversation with you and Sarah was really interesting to hear your views on why he did what he did in that moment. Yeah. But we'll get to that moment in later. Yeah. Let's talk about the characters, the setting, and everything. So it is set in a little town kind of hidden away from the world, really, called Derry. And it's kind of a place where nobody leaves. You're born there, you live there, you die there.
It's just a small town.
It's a small town. Everyone knows everybody. It's
but it's not really about the town.
No,
it's about the sewers in the town, the literal and metaphoric sewers in the town.
Stephen takes a long time talking about the history of the town.
I love
that. You need to have it. It's one of those. It's one of those times where I don't mind that this writer is spending page after page after page telling me this, because you need it to understand later on. And good thing that he does also is that he does it in chunks. He doesn't give it to you in like a mammoth 40-page chapter.
He's not like Victor Hugo in Les Miserables, who takes us all of a sudden 50-page detour talking about the sewer system in Paris. It's not like that. He does it in such a beautifully naturalistic way, and I love that.
Like at one bit, like you're following the boys on a bike journey. So he's telling you what they're seeing as you go along, and gives you like little snippets of history to do with where they are. So it completely links with the story. It's not that it's just suddenly there for no reason whatsoever. So that helps.
I loved all the history. I loved the fact that he makes it clear that this thing is ancient. It's not just like a new phenomenon that's just sprung up out of nowhere. This is not their imagination. This is the foundations of America. Really, if you look at it that way, you can see that there's a parallel there.
It goes back hundreds and hundreds of years.
Thousands
years
at one point. And it's incredible.
But I loved that he used certain things, like I love the black spot. There's something about the black spot. This club, basically a bar for black people in Derry to hang out in, and white supremacists locked them inside and set fire to it.
Do you know what's interesting about that though? Is that isn't a whole commentary on race in America. And particularly, I mean, this is all coming up at the moment. The black airmen felt excluded because they set up their own place, and then the white people are all, oh no, what about us? Why aren't we invited? Well, you're not invited. But they still welcome the white people, and then it's the supremacists that burn it down. There is a real metaphorical level that is working on as well.
Another history piece that you spoke about, which we talked about it, which is so true, is that this book was written in the 80s.
In 1985.
And slap bang in pretty much right at the beginning of the book, you have a gay man who in the 1980s, who's in a wonderful, loving relationship. And it's so wonderful to read that, because obviously at that time you had your AIDS epidemic was going on and everything, and anything related to being gay was a bad thing and shut it down. That's wrong, that's evil. But there's this character who's so loving, and for him to do that in the 1980s,
I mean, he could have portrayed Adrian Mellon as being a gay man who sleeps with anything that comes along,
or even a top camp kind of.
He could have reinforced a very negative stereotype of a gay man, but writing in 1985 about two men who are in love with each other, and he makes that absolutely clear that they are in a relationship. This is a monogamous relationship, and still one of them dies because of it. And I thought, for the fact he was writing that then, I found that great. I loved that. But having said that, there are things in the novel, reading it now, that I was like,
well, there's some
there are
close to the wire kind of.
I mean, there's one thing that goes over the wire, into the dam and underneath the sewer, which we'll get there.
Yeah. But for the history of the town, for establishing it, you feel it is very real.
Yeah, you do. It's a real place.
So then when you meet these characters and have these things happen to them, it feels like it's your friend that is happening.
You feel connected.
You feel a connection to them. It's absolutely amazing. But in Derry, there's the group of kids who are part of the Losers Club, as they call themselves.
Bless
now,
them.
in the book, the kids are in the 1950s, but in the most recent film, they shifted them to the late 80s, so that when they do the second part, when they're adults, it will be present day.
It'll be contemporary.
Yeah, it'll be contemporary.
When the book was written, is correct.
Yeah. So just to explain that, just in case you think, oh, why are we talking about the 50s when it's the 80s in the film? But that's why. So they're in the 50s, and there's a little boy called Georgie who has an older brother called Bill. Bill is in the Losers Club.
Bill is the king of
the Losers Club, and he has a stutter, and he's it comes because of what happens to Georgie. But he's at home, he's got flu and everything, and Georgie wants to go out and play in the rain. He wants a boat to take out, so he makes Georgie a boat, and he goes out, and he doesn't come back ever. Well, no. His body is found. But in the recent film, that doesn't happen.
Do you know what? I always read Bill's name as Bill Denborough, but thinking about it's probably Bill Denborough.
Denborough, probably, because of...
That's the way they pronounce it, like Burrow.
Burrow, yeah.
Rather than bruh, as we would, wouldn't it? But, that's by the by.
Yeah, and Georgie is... I don't want to say captured. He's attacked by Pennywise.
He's seduced by Pennywise.
But the thing with Pennywise is that he's so intriguing a character. He is that because he's very manipulative. He knows how to get Georgie interested, because Georgie's a 6-year-old little boy, and seeing a clown in a gutter, you get kind of freaked out by that, and he's able to talk Georgie round.
But then you've also got to think about the context of the time, as well. I mean, that would freak out my 10-year-old, because he's a 10-year-old in the modern day. But maybe a child of the 50s who's used to stories about fantastical things. I don't know.
Or that thing of, is it? I suppose also it's kind of making you as a reader kind of think, is this Georgie's imagination or is this actually happening? And at the same time, you're not sure what is going on at this point, but there's this clown in a sewer going, hey Georgie, do you want a balloon? And he's very predatorial.
He is, he's absolutely predatorial.
Very.
And that whole exchange sets up the patterns of abuse in the rest of the book as well. And I loved the fact that later on in the book, it has to know that the capacity for evil is in the person for it to possess them.
And do you know, I always find, because I reread the passage with Georgie and such after I finished the book, how, and you see it in the film version as well, that Georgie's kind of reluctant to grab the boat. But he needs to. But he knows. But Bill's going to kill me if I don't come back. Bill'll be really angry. So I've got to do it for him. So it's like this child is seriously afraid right now. That he's doing that, and it just makes me so emotional. He wants to scream, "No, don't! Just run away! Just." Georgie, but he gets I think attacked by Pennywise and sadly dies.
He does. But King is the master of characterization.
Oh my god, his characterization in this book is ridiculous.
Ben Hanscom.
I adore Ben.
Ben is my lad. There isn't boy was just the most gorgeous. Wonderful child. I loved Ben.
Ben's the new kid. He's the overweight kid who gets seriously bullied.
He does.
Like, it to the point where like Henry like carves the letter H into his stomach.
Do you know what
with a knife, with a pocket knife? It's like
about Henry. I actually cried for Henry in the end.
I know,
I
isn't
really
it? When
cried
you
for
when
Henry.
you learn about Henry and his home life and everything,
It's just
but Patrick, oh my god, that's just
you see Patrick's story.
Yeah.
Patrick's story was very much an extension of Henry's.
Yeah.
And I loved the way they adapted Patrick in the film.
So just so you know, if you haven't read the book and you're watching this, so Patrick and Henry are part of a gang of bullies, basically, at the school who bully the losers club. And Henry is kind of the leader, but really Patrick is. He's kind of he's kind of like, in comparison, like The Walking Dead, Negan is the man. But before we meet Negan, everybody else refers to themselves from his gang as Negan.
Oh, I see.
Whilst they're out on patrol, so like Rick and that they attack part of his gang, and one of them goes, "Hey, I'm Negan," and he kills them, thinking he's killed Negan, and he hasn't. Okay. So there's a whole nother level to this group, and that is Patrick.
Patrick is there's a term I heard when I was looking into it. Like after I read the book, finished the book, and then I read like reviews of it and watched reviews. There's something called solipsistic, which means that a person who believes that the only person that is really real is them.
Oh,
that's
I've never heard that.
That's what makes him so dangerous. Is he doesn't believe. Yeah. When he's doing it to a real person. It's what makes him so sadistic.
Okay, I got
which is why
when he does that to Henry.
When he does that to Henry, and when things happen to him, the moment when that happens to him, he then realises that the world is real, and that is what terrifies him.
Which then leads it to
him
to get to him. Yeah.
But Patrick's character, I mean, he's literally in it really for one chapter.
Properly for one chapter.
But he's so beautifully written. Yeah. It's like I know who that boy is. Yeah. He's such a presence. He doesn't have to say anything, but when he's there, you know it. Yeah. And I think Henry is, I think that there is definitely some narcissistic, possibly sociopathic behaviour from Henry, but Henry has been made that way by his father, by Patrick, by other people. Yeah. Patrick is some kind of almost supernaturally evil person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't come from anywhere. Yeah. He hasn't been abused. He hasn't been neglected. No. He hasn't had the overarching influence of another person. Yeah. He just is evil. Yeah. Which is why it finds him. Yeah. So simply and so easily. Whereas you have other people in the novel, like you have Bev's father. Yeah. Who he is gaining traction with Bev because he's grooming her to abuse her. He hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, you find it so interesting that like with Henry's father, the abuse that he gets from his father is really psychological, kind of like him shooting bullets in the ground around his feet and stuff like that.
It's pure psychological abuse.
It's pure psychological abuse. Yeah. Then when Patrick sexually assaults Henry, we're seeing, like I said, he is evil. There's nothing that caused him to be that way. There's no abuse in his past, which then leads him to do that. So that is a different level of abuse. And then you've got Bev's father, who is grooming her.
Yeah, he hasn't crossed that line, but he's nearly there.
He's like millimetres away from
and she knows
line.
It. Yeah. And then when he attacks her, that's because he's already been possessed. He already had the capacity
the trigger.
Exactly.
Someone's hit something.
He had it in him.
Yeah.
To go there.
Yeah.
And then it possesses him.
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I had such a fucking problem with that particular thing.
Yeah.
Should we talk about it and get it out of the way?
Oh, no, because we haven't talked about the other characters yet, have we?
Okay, all
So
right.
we've met Bill and George. We've talked about Ben, Henry, Patrick,
Mike.
No, we haven't talked about Mike yet. So there's Mike, Richie, Eddie, and Bev.
There's 7 of them, right?
That we haven't talked about.
Yeah. There's 7 kids, and I remember when I started reading it, I thought, I'm not going to remember all these kids.
It's very easy. Yes. It's very easy, isn't it?
But yes, you do, because they're all so different as people. Yeah. And I loved that the way that they became friends was very natural.
Yeah.
It wasn't forced, it wasn't... They just
especially because they already are kind of friends, apart from Ben, Bev, and Mike. They kind of get introduced into, but it is, as you say, it's just a natural coming together.
Yeah,
it's not forced. It's just happened.
Yeah.
Right? So let's talk about the other ones. So let's talk about Bev first, because we've done a bit about Bev. So Bev lives with her dad
and her mum,
but her mum's not. She
mum's useless.
Yeah,
basically.
She is referred to, but she's not.
She's in like one scene.
Yeah,
because the central.
So I can understand why in the film they just cut her out.
They did in the 90s show as well. They just cut her out.
There was just no need for her to be there.
No,
really. It was and she has issues with her dad and his possessive nature.
Yeah,
in that she has to tell him everywhere she's been. He usually locks her in the house as well. And she can't have any interaction with anybody.
With any boys, particularly.
With any boys in particular, yeah.
He really does. So, and I think the way that King writes it, when he straddles the line between protective and just out and out grooming her.
Yeah.
And the thing is with her is that Bev never knows which side he's going to jump. No. She doesn't have the language for what she knows he wants to do.
Yeah.
But she knows that there's something malevolent, there's something dark.
See, that's why I really love the scene in the recent film version where Bev comes home from school and she's got long hair and she's got it like on a ponytail like that and it's hanging down side her and he just starts playing with her hair. So she goes to the bathroom and it's so awful. While she's crying, she's calling herself a whore and a slut. She cuts all of her hair off. And it's so heartbreaking to watch, but that conveyance of what she understands versus what's happening to her and where is the line and when is it going to snap.
And I think the way that they handled that relationship when that girl was probably 14 at the most,
13 or 14, yeah.
And I think you've got to think as a filmmaker, you have a responsibility for a 14-year-old child in a scene with a probably 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
And I loved the adaptational choices that they made in the film.
Yeah.
For Bev.
Yeah, we'll talk about those when we talk about the film. But Bev's really interesting, and especially when looking at her as a grown-up and the choices that she's made in Men. Which is not the best, but that whole thing about how, because you understand with the passage of time and everything, that she can't quite register like she used to register when she was younger. I find that interesting, but I don't know if it's that thing of, I'm a grown up now, so things are different, and because I'm away from Derry, it's different. I don't know, or if it's her just wanting to completely, she's shoved all of the darkness of her past aside and locks it away in her mind and she can't register it anymore. I don't know.
Well, I think as she's become a successful fashion designer and Tom, her husband, I loved the way that once she gets that phone call from Mike, he is utterly irrelevant.
Yeah.
This man who's had complete control over her for years becomes completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
And she frees herself from him without so much as hesitation.
Yeah.
And again, he is somebody that it knows is evil, has the capacity for evil, and therefore possesses him.
Yeah.
And I think the character of Bev is, I have problems with her as an adult, from a feminist perspective. I must admit, I do.
Okay.
As a child, I love the way that King writes her innocence and her ability to love these boys as brothers, and that's yet another reason why I have a problem with what I have a problem with.
Yeah.
And I think that she's a wonderful character, and I think one of the other children should have been another girl.
Right, okay. Wow.
If it were up to me...
Which one?
Mike. I would have made Mike a girl.
Interesting.
Because I think that I don't know, I think another girl in the group would have been a balancing that needed to happen.
Right.
But look, right, I am not a writer. Stephen King is a genius. That is merely my own
your own thoughts. Yeah. Should we talk about Stan? We haven't. I forgot Stan when I was listing all the kids. But the thing with Stan, I think, I suppose you could say it's very easy in a sense to forget him because he only appears one scene as an adult.
Yes, it does. And
because sadly, he gets a phone call from Mike to say stuff's happening in Derry again. You've got to come back, because they agreed when they were kids that if anything happened in Derry again to do with this entity, then they would all come back and defeat it together, and it was too much for Stanley, and sadly he killed himself.
He does,
by carving the word "it" in his wrist and letting himself bleed to death.
But having said that, I love the fact that he makes the choice once you know what he's been through and what he's
I
seen.
remember when you were reading it and you said, I don't understand why is this happening to stuff, what's he doing, I don't get it, and I went, read the rest of the book and you'll get it. And you did.
And I did. Once you understand the kind of child he was, what he's seen, what he's been through, and how actually there are worse things than death, then I totally understood why Stanley did what he did. And so do they.
Yeah, they
so
get
do
it.
the rest of the group.
They totally get it.
They mourn their friend, and they're like, okay.
Because every 27 years something bad has happened in Derry, so this is 27 years later that the group have gotten back together, and Mike has stayed in Derry. He's the librarian. He's the librarian in Derry. Yay! I like that we have a librarian in the gang. It's nice. And he calls everyone up and says, "This is happening again, and I need you to come back." And it's so interesting their various reactions as getting that phone call. But Mike is a very intriguing character as well.
He is, because he's the only black child in the group.
Yeah, he's the only, at the time in the 50s, he's like the only black family in the town. Yeah. So he has to deal with lots of racism, especially from Henry and the gang. Like, not even like... Not just the stuff like Henry and his gang are, but that like little remarks that are subtly subtly racist, but it's like the person can't register that they're being racist. Yeah, and you hear all of these little things, and you're like, because just
you see, like looking back on it, Richie's sense of humour.
Oh God, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there, and I'm going, Stephen, really? Like, he's. There are points where Richie does his voices. He does his Irish cop voice, and he does his. I don't know if the word is appropriate, but he's clearly making fun of the way African Americans speak, and using sort of the kind of speech you might find of him. Actually, he does, doesn't he? He quotes Gone with the
He
Wind.
does quotes Gone with the Wind, yeah.
And I am like, okay, but
then again, the 50s and what was said,
yeah.
that kind of thing. And I have to say, Richie and Eddie are my favourites of the gang. I adore those two.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore them.
Then
and what happened to them in the book, I was so sad. I was really, genuinely,
I was gutted.
What happened?
When I tell you, right,
like,
the 5th part of it, the ritual of Shood.
Yes.
Not Chud.
Shood. It's pronounced shood.
Or Chewed.
It's chewed.
Shood.
Imagine a shoe and put D on it. There you go.
I read that with my heart in my mouth. Yeah. I had no idea what was going to happen. Yeah. I had no concept of where he was going to go.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
God,
so Richie is the funny kind of.
If he were a child now, he would be diagnosed with ADHD.
Probably.
I have no doubt about that.
Probably, yeah.
Because he's so constantly on.
Yeah,
isn't he?
Wired, like he's on sugar, like he's on a sugar rush, like you know. And he likes to wind Eddie up all the time.
And all of them.
But especially Eddie. Eddie's kind of like his best friend, but he has to constantly prod him. Okay.
They're frenemies.
Yeah,
frenemies.
But he's a really lovely character. He's very loyal.
He's a good
He's
kid.
a genuinely good kid.
He is.
But he has got a mouse on him. And like when Bev has them come into her house because she needs to show them something in the bathroom, and he gets told to be left behind. Like, what do I do if their dad comes home? And it's like, do what you always do. Start talking. Yeah.
Beat Richie.
Here's a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beat Richie.
Beat Richie.
Scary as fuck. Anyway, but Eddie
Kasprak.
Eddie broke me. Eddie, when we meet him as a boy, he's in a very hard situation, and that his mother has Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and that is a condition where you get a thrill from the attention of being ill. So Munchausen syndrome is where it's towards you. By proxy is where it's towards like a child or someone who's very intimately linked to you. And usually those in Munchausen syndrome by proxy actually can like poison or do damage, physical damage to that person in order to get that attention. And that's what she's
Definitely
doing.
Has, yeah. She's terrible.
She's made him believe that he's been sick since he was little. She constantly has him taken to the doctors. He actually has asthma, which is psychosomatic. Somatic, not symmetric, sorry, somatic. And he gets an inhaler from the local pharmacy, but he doesn't know that it's actually full of water. Yeah, it's got nothing in it whatsoever. No. That he's constantly having to take tablets and has to be home for a certain time. He can't go out to certain places. He's completely shut in a cage. Yeah. So it's abuse again on a completely different level. Yeah. And it's about his story of breaking free of that circle of constant abuse, and that he can't see as being abuse until his eyes get opened. Yeah. But then it's very interesting about his wife and what he's done in his adult life. But
because he's still got this tendency to think he's ill. He's got a medicine cabinet full of pills and potions.
Every single drug you can think of is in there, so just in case.
He marries a girl very like his mother, but I don't think that there's any malevolence in her.
It's just she's like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would never hurt Eddie.
No.
But he's comfortable with her because of that connection to his past.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very, very sad that happens. But that does happen. I mean, out of the 7 children, 1, 2, 3, 4 4 out of 7 are being abused. Eddie, Bev, Richie, and
Bill. Because technically, because of
neglect because of Georgie's death. Yeah. In some way or other, abuse is.
I suppose Ben, you could add to that because of bullying.
Ben is being abused because he's being bullied.
Yeah. Because Stan's not being abused, but he feels pressure about because with his dad and he's Jewish and
the film made that more than the book does.
Oh yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yeah, the film gave Stan a fear. Stan doesn't have a specific fear in the book.
No, but he has. But he doesn't. But he has. Thinking of. He has to have things right for his dad, and he
feels pressure being Jewish.
They emphasised it more in the film. Yeah, he doesn't have a specific fear because it's a painting in the film. But he does have that kind of, in a sense, pressure.
Then again, he does suffer racial abuse because people take.
Oh, that's true.
Because he's Jewish. Yeah. And Mike, because he's black. Forget that. They're all being abused. All of them. Every single one of them, in some way, is being abused. Yeah. Whether it's by family or by other people in the town.
Yeah. But there's no way they can kind of escape from it until they grow up. And the question does get asked by people who haven't read the book, and because they didn't really explain it in the film either, but it's only a little thing of like, why hasn't it ever been reported? These weird things. Why has nobody gone to the police? What the hell? And it's because of it. Yes. He has got such control over this entire place. Yeah. Because he's been there for thousands of years. Yeah. That he can make it so that nobody pays attention to them. Yeah. No message will ever get through to a newspaper reporter or anyone.
I think that the next part 2, I think Derry will be a phone dead zone. Yeah, a media.
It's got to have to
zone.
be. You can't
not
do
with
it any
modern technology and modern phones.
That was the first thing that I said. I was like, okay, if they do it present day, what are they going to do about X, Y, Z? Because it's
make it a dead zone.
Yeah,
and but anyway, so the main theme of this book is abuse.
Yeah. And then a certain event happens.
Yeah.
Right near the end of the book, because the kids have gone down into the sewer. They know what they kind of have to do to defeat it, and they go through this ceremony.
The ritual
shoot, which basically is they kind of have to go into this like a cave-esque area where it's full of smoke, and they breathe in the smoke, and it kind of hallucinates them and tells them the history of how it got there, how to defeat it, yada yada yada. They learn about the turtle who kind of threw up the earth, and that was how it got made.
That whole thing was really weird.
The turtle thing was just like,
I was right,
okay, I'm not going to go there. And in the process, they end up having. All the kids end up having this kind of orgy. Mm-hmm. And it's so uncomfortable to read.
It is. I've sat at McDonald's because I'd said to myself, I'm going to finish this. Mm-hmm. I needed to get this book finished. And I sat there and I read it and I was like, why would you do this? Mm. Now, my reason... the passage itself, if you take away the rest of the book and just read that, it's so odd. Yeah, it's so unlike any other part of the book. Yeah, and there's a throwaway line, and I think it's supposed to excuse it,
right?
Where it says basically when the other, who is the anti-it, if you like, is in charge, all the rules are off. Which I'm sorry...
That doesn't excuse
does not excuse it.
And in this bit also, it's not just that Bev feels uncomfortable that she's having sex with,
but she doesn't.
But what's going on with these boys at the same time? These boys are uncomfortable, and that is not addressed.
They don't
and it's like,
want to do it.
That's not addressed at all.
No,
and it's kind of like we are witnessing some really fucked up stuff happening to these boys.
I mean, if you wanna put it in more obvious terms, what you're watching is a rape of 6 boys by a girl who has been possessed by another entity. So in actual fact, you're watching every one of these children being raped.
Yeah.
And
you're being told that it's okay.
And you're basically being told it's okay because we're in this other universe. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, I cannot. There's no way that I can make it work as part of the narrative. And do you know what really sort of made me go even more? It's the only time it's referred to is when Bill and Bev have had sex as adults.
Yeah.
And they are the only people that refer to it. So essentially, if you took that away, you took the scene away, it made absolutely no difference to the narrative.
Yeah. So why is it there?
If that had been a scene where they're all adults and that's what they've got to do to defeat it, then fair enough, because they're adults with the ability to consent.
Yeah.
As children, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I think he was high as fuck when he wrote that. I'm sorry.
The kids are about 13 or something, aren't they?
11.
Oh no, 11.
They're 11. I have a 10-year-old son, so I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't possibly. See any way.
Yeah,
that isn't completely messed up.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen King wrote this when he was going through a very bad period with drug abuse and drinking and such. Not that I'm trying to explain away excuse it, because I'm not in the slightest.
No.
But just to kind of let you know that was what was going on with Stephen at the time that he was writing this.
Mm-hmm.
I found that so incredibly uncomfortable to read as an adult.
Yeah.
To the prospect of having to read that as a teenager, that would
the fact that this book is almost 40 years old, and in that time not one editor has gone, you know what, we really don't need that.
Yeah.
Like literally just edit it out.
Yeah.
It isn't needed.
Yeah.
And I watched this one reviewer, and this woman was like, well, it wasn't that big a deal, and she wanted to do it, so it's okay. And I was like, hold the phone.
No,
hold the phone.
None of them wanted to do it.
None of them wanted to do it. She completely dismissed the idea that the boys didn't want to do it. They even say, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
They all say, I don't want to do this.
And it's not like not that I'm trying to just justify thing again or make it seem that it's comfortable, because it's not uncomfortable. It's like you get full on, like you're right in there. This is not like it's not like you're watching like several feet away.
No.
And watching this scene. You are there.
What is happening?
Every single little detail.
Yeah.
So you can't. It's oh god. It's so uncomfortable.
It's so
uncomfortable to read.
So uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But basically, that scene, and I actually had a friend of mine, the friend that's reading Outlander at the moment. Yeah. She had read it, and she had finished it about a month before I finished.
Right.
And I asked her what she thought about that, and she said basically she just skimmed it for anything relevant and didn't want to read it because it disturbed her so much.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is a single reviewer, apart from that woman. I mean, there's a man there's a channel on YouTube I love called The Horror Show, and they're a group of they're a group of people who absolutely love horror films, horror books, and they're incredibly knowledgeable about the genre. And Stephen King is like one of their very, very favourite people. And there's a man on there who has read every Stephen King book in order. It took him like nearly 8 years to do it, but he did it.
Well
And
done,
even
eh?
he, who loves King, has said, and it is one of his absolute favourite books, even he said that scene does not belong
Yeah.
in this novel.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. And, you know, I've heard ideas of, oh, well, there's so much child murder in it, and you know,
So that's okay.
that's
for them to
okay.
do.
It's there are some people with some pretty awful views, but I
And the-
loved this book,
I
but that
remember
scene didn't fit.
because we've spoken about it before, the girl who read it in 24 hours, which is like,
No, she didn't.
she did a good books review,
Yeah.
in which it was only like a couple of paragraphs, so she didn't have much room to talk about. But it was interesting, she never mentioned that.
She didn't, because
She
she
talked
didn't,
about the thing that irked her was the racial language.
the racial language, but
and
not,
that was it.
but
And it
not-
was like,
because I think because she was listening to it at double speed and didn't hear it. She
yeah,
didn't hear it.
yeah.
And like I said, I love this book. I love the characterization in this book. I love the plot of the book. I think it flowed beautifully. I love the history, even the sewers. I loved how everything felt like the progression was natural from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Loved all of that. That scene is the only thing that would stop me giving it 5 out of 5 stars.
I also didn't like the bit about the ending, which might as well talk about now.
Yeah.
The thing that really, really got me, and like it was like a kick in the teeth, was that this thing that once it is defeated, when they're adults, they begin to lose their memories, and they lose the memories of each other. They forget that each other ever existed. And I was like, you bastard, after all of that you've made me go through with these kids when they were 11 years old, all the way through the adulthood, all that crap, the stuff that they've seen, the people that they've lost, and that chapter, and now you're telling me that that they're going to forget about each other. That broke me. That was like the friendships that they had formed and how important they were to each other, and then you're just going to let that fall away.
I thought that was beautiful.
I couldn't do it. I hated that.
I loved that. I thought that was beautiful.
Like, what the hell? I was so angry, wasn't I?
I'll tell you what the hell.
We had a discussion with our friend Sarah, and you'd say what you're going to say.
Basically, I saw that as him freeing them to live their lives. Because if you had seen what they had seen, been as thoroughly traumatised as they were, there is no way that you could be happy. There's no way that you could go on and live a fulfilled, happy life. In whichever way that they choose to do that.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that the town was destroyed helped hugely. I loved that scene, by the way. I kind of got the...
It kind of was like a big suction,
like,
it?
Yeah, like the whole thing just collapsed in on itself. I loved that. I thought that was amazing, that it was holding the whole town up. I loved that. I thought that was fabulous. But no, I thought that was kind of beautiful, that there is a mercy in that forgetfulness, because it means that they are no longer prisoners of their abuse. Yeah,
see, I get that. Yeah. At the same time, I'm still like, but I really want them to stay friends. You know, I was
but
really...
If you think about it, how many kids do you remember from when you were 11? Really?
Oh, don't say that.
No, it's true though. How many kids from year 7 do you remember accurately?
Remember, because obviously my tutor group and everything, I remember the various people in that, and I'm still friends with some people. But it was just a bit like I've gone through so much. Let them just still be friends. Just please. I was just begging them. Just please. But I get that, and I said to like you and Sarah about how I love the quote that J.K. said about why Harry ends up having his ending in Harry Potter and everything, and she said the most courageous thing I can possibly think of is somebody who has been through a dramatic trauma and then processing it and rebuilding themselves afterwards. That is pure bravery. And I could see in my mind all the characters doing that, but I wanted them to have that connection, and the thought that Stan and Eddie would be lost, that they would be forgotten, that broke my heart.
But the thing with that for me was that I believe if Stan and Eddie had known that the price of freedom for their friends was their lives, they would have paid that price. I know.
So that was the bit about the ending that I hated and really frustrated me and got me really angry. But I get, from our discussion about it, I get why he did that, but it's still a kick in the teeth for me.
It is.
It's just
look, it really, really is. But I do think that it is as an achievement, as a novel.
Oh yeah,
it is immense. Yeah. It's an immense achievement.
Immense read.
I just don't. I really, really loved the book. I loved the characters, but it's just that one thing. That one thing. But that one thing is not an insignificant thing.
No, it's not like you're irked by something about quirkiness of a character and how they kind of do something, how he's betrayed something.
It just wasn't. It wasn't right.
Appropriate.
It wasn't appropriate, and there's just no way for me to. I mean, I knew that it would happen because you told me.
Yeah, I said that there was something,
and I was willing.
I didn't tell you in detail.
I didn't know the detail. I didn't know the context. I didn't know a lot of stuff, and now I know. Mr. King, I admire you. I respect you. I think you are a genius in your craft. But I cannot respect that scene
decision,
and that decision to put it in that book. I'm sorry, but I can't.
Yeah. Which is fair enough, and it hasn't like dampened your thoughts on him as a writer,
absolutely not,
or the book in itself.
No,
it's just if that one chapter wasn't in there, it would be
perfect,
so much better.
All you'd have to do is take out that chapter, take out that one reference from that one scene when two consenting adults do what they do. It would have been 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, absolutely wonderful, amazing. Yeah.
Now let's talk about the adaptations.
Yeah. 55 minutes we've been talking about the book.
That's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
Right. 90s version is laughable.
It's terrible.
It's awful. It's friggin' awful. It is like... Oh, God.
Tim Curry.
Right, Tim Curry's Pennywise
carries that.
Yeah.
Me.
And let's just face it, Tim Curry is being Tim Curry. It's not like Bill Skarsgård's version of Pennywise. He's very... Tim Curry's Pennywise, he's harsh when he needs to be harsh.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's a bit over the top, like
I like the kids in the 90s version.
Yeah, the 90s one. The kids are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like Bill.
Jonathan Brandis.
Yeah.
Yes. He had a rather tragic.
He had a very tragic end of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like him, and obviously Seth Green is Richie. In those glasses with the white tape.
Yes. See, for me, I loved Finn Wolfhard as Richie in the film. I thought he did really well.
The 90s version is very of its time. Very of its time. Yeah. Not even like subtly. It's very of its time.
It's very horror cliches.
Oh, God, ridiculous.
Yeah.
The old style, like I said, the whole thing of someone screaming so you zoom into their mouth at an angle, kind of awful, laughable horror scenes. It's just not good. Can we talk about when that adult's Bill's hair? That rat tail that he's got.
Bill's hair was the deepest horror of that entire
Yeah, that was truly scary. Forget Pennywise. His hair.
It's like
I'm an artist, and the only way I can convey that is by having a ponytail.
I know.
No!
I'm so bohemian.
Yeah.
With my long ratty hair.
Yeah.
Tied up with what Oh,
Yeah,
can't.
yeah.
John
that was just
Boy
wrong.
Walton with long hair.
And those big kind of like aviator glasses. That was just.
You know what's weird? Is when they all meet up at the Chinese restaurant
And he kisses Bev in front of
kisses
all of
Bev.
them. Like full on the mouth.
and nobody says anything.
No, nobody says
And
a
it was almost like the screenwriter thought, well, I better do that now, so that they'll have sex later, even though they don't.
John Lasseter is in playing Ben, adult Ben.
Yes, I did like that.
Yeah,
the guy that played adult Richie was terrible.
Yeah, I didn't like how they portrayed adult Richie, and it didn't
screwed him over.
And it didn't help that there's a really interesting sequence in the book where adult Ben is in the library and sees Pennywise, and in the 90s version they made it Richie, which made no point whatsoever because Ben loves history, he loves reading, he's constantly in the library when he's a kid, so why give it to Richie? And what was the point?
And the library inspires Ben as an architect when he's older.
Exactly.
Ben has a real connection to that library, whereas Richie didn't at all.
Yeah.
It was a very odd choice.
Yeah.
A very, very odd choice. And I didn't like that at all. I thought that was just nonsense.
Yeah.
It was nonsense.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of... I did like seeing Olivia, what's her name, as Audra.
Yeah.
Although
Audra is weirdly portrayed in the 90s one.
She's a lot better in the book.
She's just kind of just there.
She's just sort of there.
And then she gets caught up in that cocoon thing, and
and I'm sorry, when in my head, when I was reading the book, the Demogorgon from Stranger Things?
Yeah.
That is essentially what it looks like in my head.
Yeah.
Massive.
Really tall.
Like, tall, massive.
Yeah.
Thing.
And the spider thing that he is in the 90s one at the end is about 6 foot.
Yeah.
You can tell there's a man inside that costume. It
was weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. But then you can tell they didn't have any money.
Yeah.
It
was a TV film.
Yeah.
It didn't work. And they did what they did in the kind of recent one where the first part was dedicated to the children and the second part was dedicated to the adult, rather than flicking back and forth like it does in the book.
Yeah. But then again, to adapt means to change, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So I think having, as they've done it in the film, the two halves, I think will work. I
cannot help have a soft spot for one moment though, because it's just the way that he says it. I love it when Ben is seduced by Pennywise as Bev and he kiss me, fat boy. But the way that Pennywise says that line, it's so funny that I laugh, but I can't get the voice out of it.
That doesn't happen in the book.
No, it doesn't happen in the book.
And it's so horrific.
Funny. It's so funny.
It's terrible.
It's so funny. But even things like when they still stand in the fridge. That was
cheapened, really cheapened,
really bad. But then it is of its time. They didn't have the budget. It's what it is. And then
I kind of gave my copy to the charity shop. I watched it once, and
don't worry about it.
So I was just like, I'm not going to watch it again.
You're not going to watch it again.
No.
Don't worry about it. Someone else will enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or not enjoy it. I don't know. But then the recent film.
Yeah.
And I remember because I was at work, wasn't it, when you watched it? Because I was getting messages every 30 seconds. Me and Sarah, we were getting messages as you watched through.
Yeah.
And when you're watching the 90s one, go, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
But then the recent film version, I saw it in the cinema the weekend that it came out.
Right.
And I was sat next to a girl who hyperventilated throughout every single second of that film, even when it was happy moments and you had no need to. She was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like this. And I was like, oh God, it drove me insane. I didn't jump at all during it. But just to give us that, obviously, I knew the book. I knew what was coming up. Even when stuff was changed, it was like, okay, you can see. And I studied media studies for 2 years when I did my A-levels. And we analysed shot by shot, second by second, horror films for 2 years. So when you've got, a silent moment and someone's looking around, it's like, Yeah, the going to happen in 3, 2, 1. Oh, well, there you go. You kind of get desensitized to it. Like I watched Get Out the other day for the first time. I really liked that. There was only one moment that actually made me jump, and that was near the beginning. A DF comes out of nowhere and hits a car. Even though it was in the trailer, I forgot it was in the trailer. But it's because it's about a minute or so before it happens.
Yeah.
So it's not a standard jump, and that was why it made me jump. Other than that, nothing else made me jump because everything else is kind of standardized. So so I didn't jump at all during it. And you said yourself that if you went to this film and hadn't read the book, you would have been absolutely,
I'd have been scared out of my head,
terrified. Yeah.
Because even if I had, when I did read the book, when I watched the film, I made sure I was in daylight in my house. I will not go to the cinema to see part 2. I will watch it at home in daylight.
So
I will not do that because I am a scaredy cat. Yeah. I honestly am.
Like you watched Stranger Things, didn't you, during the day? You didn't want to watch it at night. Oh, bless you.
I'm a scaredy cat. I don't like being scared.
Spooked.
But having said that, the quality of the film was beautiful. Yeah. It was so good.
Cinematography was, oh God, sorry.
And Bill Skarsgård, perfect as Sammy Wise.
Pennywise.
Pennywise.
Where did Sammy come from?
Samwise.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so Bill Skarsgård plays Pennywise. I loved the special features on the Blu-ray. Have you watched them now?
Yes, I have now.
Because I love like how he went to audition and the director was like, I want him to have like a lazy eye, but we can do audition it. No, I can do it. And he did it right there. Oh, okay. I'd like him to do, this kind of thing. Oh, yeah, I can do that. And he just did it in front of him. It's like, bloody hell, this man's amazing. He's only 25 and he's ridiculously talented. But why he did not get an Oscar nomination or any other kind of, like, even like a BAFTA nomination or any kind of Golden Globe, any kind of nomination for that film is beyond me.
I'll tell you why.
Amazing.
Genre is why.
Yeah.
The horror genre does not get much recognition as far as awards
go. You say that, but Get Out won an Oscar.
Only for screenplay.
But it got nominated at least.
Yeah. But I think there are more political reasons for that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But having said that, that's wonderful that happened. And he won. Yeah. That's brilliant. But, Evermore from Beauty and the Beast wasn't nominated for Best Song.
Why?
Why? The Greatest Showman lost Best Song.
Yeah. To Coco.
I know you love Coco.
Yeah, but that song is way better than the song in Coco, in my opinion. Yeah. It's a wonderful song, but it's...
I did watch the performance for Coco and I was like, best song, really?
It's a lullaby. That's what that song is. Yeah, it's not like This Is Me.
Yes. Which is an anthem. Yeah. But anyway, back to it. Yeah. Back to it. Okay, I loved the film. I thought all the kids, without exception, were fantastic. Yeah. I will always laugh at the moment where Bill Skarsgård has got the hand and he's going,
yeah.
Oh my God, I
now covered in blood.
It always makes me laugh.
But I love, you can tell that the director and him got on so well and they were so comfortable with trying different things. And Bill said in the making of that there were certain little quirks that he came up with and the director never even contemplated, and they've stayed in the film because they've really worked. Yeah. And the kids being absolutely terrified at Bill Skarsgård because they don't know what he's going to do in any given minute. I love that moment where Finn got completely freaked out by him because he didn't know that he was going to run at him and screamed his head off. The character choices that he has and the way that Bill Skarsgård talks about the psychology behind Pennywise and the making of stuff is so interesting. Yeah. And why he does what he does.
I liked that, they gave Mike and Stan a proper fear. Yeah. Whereas in the book, they're just kind of along for the ride.
Well,
they both contribute.
With Mike, he does have the fear of fire because of the black spot.
It's the bird. It's the bird.
Oh, but No, but I'm going to say because of the link to the black spot in the film.
Yeah.
Because in the film version, there is talk about the black spot happening in that, but his fear is because of fire, because he was in a fire with his parents and his parents died, and that's why he lives with his grandfather on his farm. Whereas in the book, his dad told him about the black spot, which freaks him out, and you have that link then to black heritage and such within Derry, but it is the bird.
It's the bird. But thinking about it, the bird would be almost impossible to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
because that would cost so much money.
You would never be able.
You wouldn't be able to do it, and I think I'm really happy with the adaptational choices that they've made for this film.
Like, obviously, especially taking out that sequence at the end with the kids.
I mean, they didn't even do that in the 90s version, and I am so happy that they said, look, no, well, that's just not happening.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that they didn't do the turtle in the 90s version, and I hope they don't do it in this, because it's so random and weird.
It's very, you can tell it's drug and alcohol fuel. It must be. You cannot possibly think that up.
Don't get me wrong, I liked the fact that it made it clear that there are far bigger forces at work than this just being a child's imagination and that feeds off of. But why a turtle? Why did the turtle vomit the earth? What does that mean?
I like that they did little things like when the kids are playing in the river, one of them refers to a turtle being under the water, and when Bill goes into Georgie's room, he picks up a Lego turtle that Georgie made and sadly gets smashed because of the vision of Georgie freaks him. There are those references that book lovers will instantly get. Yeah, which is wonderful. And I also love that, okay, yes, they've set it in the 80s for the kids rather than the 50s because they want to make the second part modern day. But it's like Stranger Things. It's not a case of they're really emphasising all the 80s stuff. It's very natural. You don't... It's what it is.
So instead of the book, you've got the stills.
Yeah, so there's a point where their photo album comes to life, and in the film they make it a machine projector.
That's the word.
And Pennywise jumps out the projector. But so it's little things. Yeah. But they haven't irked me. They haven't made me go, no, this isn't the book. I don't like this. Yeah. But the thing about when they make it modern day, as he said, they're going to have to make it dead zone in order to make it then work for what happens in the rest of the book. Because if you brought technology into it, there'd be loads of stuff that would have to change in that.
Fingers crossed. Chris
Pratt! We want Chris! We want Chris!
Jessica Chastain.
She's in discussions.
I would die.
Because the director who did the first part, he's going to stay on for the second, and apparently the writer is as well, and he directed Mama, which she was in.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
That would be so amazing.
If Jessica Chastain
and Chris Pratt was on, I'd be like, bow down to greatness.
Everyone else, I'm perfectly happy for them just to... Someone...
Because it has been questioned if the guy from Black Panther could be Mike. The lead guy from Black Panther.
Chadwick Boseman.
Yes.
Oh my god, he's so good.
8 people have said that he might be. He could be adult Mike. Oh god, who else was there for the very?
There was Joseph Gordon-Levitt
for Richie, wasn't it?
Hang on, I've got Pinterest.
Oh no, that might be Eddie. It might be Eddie.
Hold on.
For him.
Where is it? Where is Pinterest? Hang on, because I have
this is so exciting for the prospect of casting these people.
I have a Stephen King board.
I
actually have, because I'm weird and obsessive. No, honestly.
It's not a bad thing.
I am.
To have a Stephen King board.
I've got to find it.
You've got so many boards.
I have far too many boards. Not as many as some. Right, here we go.
Long live the king.
Right. That's Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Stanley.
Oh, okay.
Chris Pratt as Ben.
Yeah.
Jessica Chastain as Bev. Mark Duplass as Richie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't actually know who he is. Who's he?
Oh, no. Oh no, he's not the guy I was thinking of.
No. Patrick Wilson for Bill.
I like Patrick Wilson.
Chiwetel Ejiofor for Mike.
Yeah, but now that Black Panther's come out, people want him.
Right. Adam Scott for Eddie. Him.
Oh, him. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So I saw those.
Jessica Chastain is in talks now because she knows the director. And he said he'd wanted to work with her on something else since Mama because he really enjoyed her.
She's so good. She's fantastic.
But if she does, and if Chris Pratt does as well, those are my two absolute desperate casting I have to have. Because Ben, he's just perfect.
He looks
perfection.
He looks like the kid that played Ben.
Yeah,
he really does.
Exactly. It's just So if he does, it'd be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And apparently the kids are going to might appear again in the second one as kind of alternate scenes from their child days bit. So it's still within the sequences of films. It's just bits that weren't seen.
So we will see.
So it's so exciting. But if you're able to see the more recent It film, it's absolutely fantastic. You don't necessarily, obviously, if I'd read the book to be able to see it. It adapted it very, very well.
It really did. Yeah.
It took out all the problematic stuff.
Reworked some
bits. Patrick doesn't really. He's in one scene, but that's all I need him to be.
Yeah, he doesn't have any personal interaction with Henry.
The bit I especially adore, and obviously this is a spoiler, but then this video is full of spoilers. I especially adore the sequence where Henry kills his dad.
I do as well, and
because
I've got to say,
it's a moment. It's a moment in the book we forgot to talk about it.
Yeah.
Where. Henry's completely kind of possessed or is being controlled in some way by Pennywise, and he comes in and his dad's asleep and there's a TV on and it's like a kids' TV show that you see kind of dotted around in various other TV
time.
Like kind of like that, but obviously because of the film it's the 80s, it's not the 50s, it's not How You Do, but it's a kind of equivalent, and it's a woman and she's sat with loads of kids and she goes, "That's right, kids. What are you gonna do now?" And she goes, "Kill him, Henry. Kill him. Kill them all." And he starts shouting it, and he just puts the dagger to his dad's neck and presses the button. But it's that chant, "Kill them all. Kill them all." That it just stays with you, and it's like she thrusts his fist against opposing claims that he still sees a ghost. That is
really
so.
Want that on a t-shirt.
That is the most terrifying thing in the book. It's a throw-off line at first. You don't think about it. It's because it's part of Ben's therapy for his stammer.
You know what it is?
And I know what it is. It's because of his stammer.
Yeah.
But then how he uses it as a way to calm him, which the fear aspect, which leads to it, and it's a slogan that. Is so important to people who have read it.
I think,
and you hear it being muttered by Bill like 3 times in the film. But I wonder if it's going to be more prominent in the second one because as soon as he gets a call from Mike, his stammer comes back.
I loved the kid that played Henry. I thought he did a marvellous job.
I remember when you were reading, you were saying, "Oh my God, I know who would play adult Henry. It'd be brilliant, Leonardo DiCaprio." And I'm thinking, yeah, you haven't seen the film yet. Because they're sad. Yeah, they kind of killed him. But you get why at the same time. But then that means that for Eddie and that's not going to be. And I'm like, how are they going to do? What they're going to do? What they're going to do?
Who knows? But I tell you what, I can't wait to find out.
But apparently, it's going to start filming in the summer.
Right.
Apparently.
So it'll be Halloween 2019.
Yeah, it's going to be September, October 2019.
Yeah.
That we'll be able to see.
So next year,
Bill Skarsgård signed on for both of them at the same time. So it's guaranteed.
Next year, we're going to have the final part of it. The final season of Game of Thrones. Next year's going to be stellar. And possibly Lethal White.
Yeah.
She's finished it, I think.
You don't know, we might get it this year for the build-up to Christmas.
For October. But then...
Usually editing and everything is a 6-month process. So if she's only recently finished it, then it would say about September, October, which is the build-up to Christmas.
All right, then. Okay, if she does release it this year, new strike next year. Yes, but anyway, should we wrap this
Anyway,
up?
yeah, we've been babbling on for a
We
long
have.
time. But yeah, we, apart from issues with certain aspects that haven't dampened our thoughts on this
No.
book whatsoever, we really loved the book.
I did.
We really love the recent film. We hate the 90s film, but it's of its time. It's very,
time.
you know, it's what it is. But please, if you're able to see the most recent film, do, because it's fantastic. If you want to pick up the book, then do, but be aware, like we said, that there are abuse.
There is a lot of abuse
in it, and if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, it might not be appropriate for you to read. But we hope that this discussion and this warning will, you know, tell you that. So
but yeah, I think that's it.
All right then. If you want to let us know what you thought of it, the films, the book, whatever, leave us a comment.
All right,
and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.